Hi, this week I'm in Serbia. Now before I came out here I had a quick Google to see what the weather was likely to be, what sort of temperatures it was going to reach, and it was telling me it was going to be 30 degrees plus. Well, it hasn't been. We have had some swelteringly hot days, but on the whole it's been cold, and I've only bought thin shirts with me and one jumper, and I didn't bring a proper coat, just a little rain bag, so I've been sitting in the hides here shivering at times. But this is happening everywhere you go now. Wherever you go, you talk to the locals and they always say, we don't get the weather we used to get. So I've come to a new company in Serbia where they're renting out these hides, and I'm the first foreign guest. So there's only Serbian photographers been here up till now, and I've been using a mixture. So they've got some permanent wooden hides with the one-way glass, which is very popular now wherever you go. But also we've just been putting up the Buteo hides in various locations, and that means I've had the choice. I've been able to pick where I want to put the hides up. When you're photographing through this one-way glass, you always worry about the quality. Is it having any effect on your pictures? And it's a great relief when you get back to your hotel room on the first night, you download your pictures to the laptop and have a look at them. And here, no effect at all. No colour cast whatsoever, no lack of sharpness. I have been in hides with one-way glass when it has a quite serious effect on the colour cast and takes the edge off the sharpness as well. We got off to a good start. As I was filming and photographing this bird, I'm thinking, this is the first time I've photographed middle spotted woodpecker. It actually wasn't. When I got home and filed these pictures, I did find some pictures of middle spotted woodpecker I'd taken elsewhere, but they weren't very good. So these are the first decent pictures I've taken of middle spotted. And there aren't that many European birds I haven't photographed now. Nuthatches were extremely common. I'm used to pairs of nuthatches coming in, but here there was far more than that. They were very, very numerous, which means there's a nuthatch in front of you at just about every moment. And hanging upside down as well, classic nuthatch pose. I sat in 4 wooden hides like this. They have 2 at drinking pools and 2 at feeding stations. It's not the best time of year to be photographing small woodland birds. This is the first week of September, and there's a lot of young birds about and a lot of molting birds too. This great tit is clearly a male. It's the width of that black stripe down the chest. If it's wide, it's a male, and the female is a much narrower stripe. This will be willow warbler. Also in the spring, you're going to get a greater variety of birds, but I was very pleased to get this lesser white-throat. Now in the UK you don't get the chance to photograph lesser white-throat too often. They're very skulking birds. But was it a lesser white-throat? When you're in a foreign country you're always doubtful. Is there something else in this country similar? Well, if I was at home in the UK I would definitely call that a lesser white-throat. But to reassure myself I ran it through the Merlin app. So you take a photograph with your mobile phone of the image on the back of the camera, and then you open the Merlin app and load that picture in, and it confirmed it's a lesser white-throat. I also did the same with this as well, common redstart, but I just wanted to check. As well as getting birds coming down to the water, there's perches nearby to photograph them, and including a spotted flycatcher. Pretty rare now in the UK, didn't come down to drink. Now this is a great spotted woodpecker, but you have to watch out because there are Syrian woodpeckers around and they're very similar. Jay and a blackcap. And a male chaffinch, again looking a bit too tatty. blue tit. And I didn't realise I'd photographed a common whitethroat until I got back to the hotel room. And a marsh tit. These were very common down at the drinking pool just about the whole time. At one of the feeding stations we have this large log laid out as a prop, and there was a wood mouse in there. But again, if I was in the UK, I'd be confident this is a wood mouse. But what other species do they get in Serbia? There's always room for doubt. At one point, a sparrowhawk flew through and disappeared into the background. 2 minutes later, he came back. It's a male bird and looks very smart. Is he going to bathe? I hope so. He's checking it out. I have the usual dilemma here. Do I take stills pictures or do I just leave the video running? Unfortunately, he chose not to bathe, and he only had a brief sip of water too. This is the accommodation I was staying in. It wasn't a hotel, it was an apartment. Every morning you're up early. 4 o'clock, 4:30, you've got to get up. You do have to put the hours in, and it does get tiring. By the end of the week, you're pretty exhausted. Timekeeping was pretty accurate. By the time I've walked to the curb, the car was arriving to pick me up. Either Philip or Susanna were there. And we are on our way to the next destination, where I'm going to use Buteo hides and put them up wherever I want. And I like this spot. Just going to try the hide in a slightly different place. The sun is about 5 minutes away before it comes over the horizon, so I get in the hide, and after 10-15 minutes the birds are going to start coming back to this little lagoon. This is the Buteo Aquila Hide, or their 2-person hide, which I've got to myself. It's misty this morning. The sun has now got above the horizon, and I always expect that the sun is going to burn off the mist, but that doesn't always happen. When the sun first comes up, the mist can get thicker as it sort of comes rolling in. It's going to burn it off eventually, but it could be... Oh, hang on, there's something there in front of me. It's a squawko heron in the mist. The mist cleared very quickly, a few minutes later, and it had gone. Now that log that the female gadwall is standing on was a very important prop, and as you can see, the male climbs onto it and it spins around. It wasn't stable. If I was there for another week, I would have moved that log much closer to where I've got the hide. It was very, very popular. Male and female gadwall. The male is on the left, and the pygmy cormorant. Now that is taken with the 2x extender, the 1.25 built-in extender, so a total of 2000mm. This video clip as well. You just have to watch the vibration when you're shooting at 2000mm. I could really do with my heavier tripod, but I can't fly with it, it's too heavy. They dry their wings just like the great cormorant does. And more squawko herons, that's with the 1.4 extender on, and a wood sandpiper. I don't get to photograph wood sandpiper as often as green sandpiper, which are quite common in the Midlands where I live, but when I have photographed them, I've always found them much tamer and easier to approach than the green sandpiper. Now what is this? Black tern? Whiskered tern? Juvenile? I'm still not certain. But they were flying up and down a lot, gave good opportunities for flight pictures, as did the pygmy cormorant, although they're easier to photograph in flight as they're taking off and splashing in the water. The OM1, as it always does, a remarkable job at keeping things in focus. Grey heron, fishing. I didn't see any of the herons or egrets catch large fish, they're all very small, so I guess they have to catch a lot over the course of the day. There were purple heron there too, but typical of the species, they didn't really show themselves, they stayed in the vegetation. And the great white egret. Now watch this bird. After it catches the fish, it drops it. But before it hits the water, it catches it again. That is an incredible reaction. Very difficult thing to handle a fish, but they do it so well. Now the pygmy cormorant was not quite as good with the fish. This one drops it. Well, actually it more sort of threw it away. It lands in the water and it has to dive to catch it again. And I saw that happen several times with pygmy cormorant. These days it's quite easy to photograph birds with the fish between the mandibles like that. Nothing to do with pro capture. Just the camera's running at 50 frames per second, so one of those frames is going to catch it. You can't have too many frames per second. These are little egret now in flight. They were chasing each other around quite frequently, so I had lots of opportunity for flight pictures of little egret. Notice the bells ringing in the background. The bell is round the neck of the cattle so the owners can find them. I don't know which is worse, to have the bell round your neck or that udder between your legs. Now the cattle didn't disturb the birds, but something else did. The hide was new and on their patch, and I've no doubt they could pick up my scent. Dogs. Well, you know that, don't you? What can you do? The one looks a bit nasty. Anyway, I know what you have to do. I've seen it on Crocodile Dundee. You put your fingers up like that, and you sort of wave them in front of them, and they calm down. We'll give it a go. It works. I don't know why, but it works. I've always enjoyed sitting in hides and be able to put one up in different places on the Danube or the backwaters of the Danube was very exciting for me. When I mentioned to Susanna that the beach had got a lot of debris on it, no problem at all. They got the rakes and the brooms and very quickly they cleaned the beach up. Not a huge beach, but that was a lot of work. And this is a green shank. Looks much better because the sand is now clean. Every day I was able to choose a different spot, and this was a hot day, swelteringly hot. Well, that didn't take long. A squawko heron walked out right to left. Now there's a log in the water. That was on the mud when I got here, so I picked it up and I managed to push it one log length out into the water. He climbed onto that log, but I missed that picture, and unfortunately he didn't really stop. He just kept walking straight across from one reed clump to the next reed clump. Marsh harriers were very common, and in the winter hen harriers are here in quite good numbers too. It's all about the wing positions when you're photographing a bird like this. I like it when they bank and you can see the top of the wings. My thanks to Susanna and Philip for looking after me very well for the week, and there's a link to their website in the description under the video. Thanks for watching.